Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on in. Tobin here with you, and thank you for checking out the channel. Coming at you after your Miami Dolphins finish off the preseason with a victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. A real thriller. I gotta tell you, that fourth quarter, I mean, look, ended very exciting. Sick interception by John Saunders Jr. Second week in a row, you've had a very exciting, clinching interception and turnover. So you got to give some props there. That was awesome. The team was very fired up. It's been cool to see the atmosphere. They made the point of this on the broadcast to see how much those guys are backing each other, how much those guys are supporting one another. So that's all very well and good. But it is the fourth preseason game, and there is a lot of, backups out there. And it crawls a little bit there. It crawls. But you made it. We all made it. We got through. We are here. Real football. I mean, if you're a Canes fan, it's a week away. If you are just a Dolphins fan, it's a couple of weeks away. Everybody made it. Today, you got kind of a dress rehearsal. Not everybody went out there, but you did get a look with Tua Tagovailoa for a few drives. And, it started off with much to be desired, I would say. It did not, which was discouraging. I can't say any other way about it. It didn't start fantastic. There was a lot of pressure on Tua early. And, the first drive was just like, oof, somebody's in his kitchen. He was sacked. And you're just like, that wasn't encouraging. Tua had like rushers in his face. He's nearly getting picked off. And it just wasn't, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. There was to start the game, there was a Malik Washington was very encouraging, and so was Ollie Gordon. But Malik Washington starts the game with a first down play, ineligible receiver downfield. Jonas Avainaya puts him behind the sticks. Then there's pressure. It all just felt a little too familiar. So that wasn't fantastic. And then the next drive comes. That basically goes nowhere. Ollie Gordon, gets the Dolphins in a good position. And then all of a sudden he's sacked, and then, he has no shot. It was just a disastrous start for the Dolphins offense. And mind you, this was a Jaguars team that was sitting 30 guys. You're going up against their backups. It was less than ideal. I don't think anybody was very encouraged by anything that was going on. Thankfully, they got a little bit of juice into the crowd. The Jaguars get the ball back, and you get a sack by Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, both in there. And finally, it felt like things were kind of coming alive. It was great to see those two guys in action, to see the journey they've been through. That got you fired up a little bit. And then you were able to cap it off with a big-time drive to get on the scoreboard and ease just, in the words of Chubbs Peterson, just easing the tension, baby. Just easing the tension. Ollie Gordon, Tua found Waddle for a play. It was good to see that. Jalen Waddle was out there. About the only action you saw from him tonight. A lot of Ollie Gordon on this drive. And, man, if you're coming away with anybody, like if there was it's probably a lame award, but a preseason MVP, I think you got to say it's Ollie Gordon. You should probably name it after Skylar Thompson. I don't know if anybody wants that award. But Ollie Gordon was a moose monster this entire preseason, just running through contact, 5 yards, 6 yards, 9 yards. Every time he touched the football, he was doing something really impressive. And when it wasn't him, it was usually Malik Washington. The Dolphins got to a 4th and 5. Tua found Malik Washington for the first down. And so, I don't exactly know when the Jason Sanders injury happened, but the Dolphins had a little bit of a weird game. They didn't have a kicker. Jason Sanders, I'm guessing, got hurt on, I'm guessing the first kick of the game. And so the Dolphins end up going for it on 4th and 5. They convert. Ollie Gordon gets a couple of big runs. And then Tua has a little bit of heat on him. He finds Malik Washington, who, this Intangibles was trying to tackle him at the 20. Malik Washington put a move on this dude, sent his ass to the shadow realm, and scampered all the way in for the touchdown. It was impressive. I mean, Malik Washington, he very much seems like the real deal. I don't know a Dolphin fan who cannot be absolutely on fire excited for Malik Washington. So as frustrating as you were with the right side of the line, not encouraging. The play of your rookie running back and your second-year receiver really had to, I think, get you excited. It put much more perfume on what was a very stinky start for the Dolphins offense. But that move that Malik Washington put on it was very, very impressive. Very impressive. So the Dolphins, they would go up 8-0. Tua would find Farrell Brown, who did a little bit of a juggling act, but he did bring it down, and the Dolphins went up 8-0 because, again, they didn't have a kicker. And I don't know. I'm doing this. I'm not listening to Mike McDaniel. I'm sure we'll get more info on it after the game. I'm sure there'll be some important stuff on a lot of guys. Jalen Wright was there. He didn't play. Darren Waller was there. He didn't play. A lot of these guys warmed up or dressed to warm up, but they didn't go. Tyreek didn't go. Devon Achane didn't go. So there were a lot of guys sitting out. Austin Jackson, obviously, we know, has been dealing with stuff. But the starting defense didn't get a ton of reps, all of them out there, but they looked very. I mean, they look scary good, dude. They look scary good. When the Baggies were in there, you could see some runs. They stepped up. But man, Chop Robinson got a sack today. That whole unit looks very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. The Dolphins got themselves a lot of talent in that room. I think, so the Jaguars would come back and they would kick a field goal. I don't know if that was the 60-plus yarder. They have a free kicker. He's like, no, that would be the second one. I'm sorry. So this was, I think, just your run-of-the-mill field goal. But their kicker's ridiculous. That dude hit like a 70-yarder. He hit a 59-yarder on the Dolphins, and you're just like, yeesh, this guy is incredible. He's got a boot. Zach Wilson would come in after it was 8-3. So Tua's day was done after 3 drives. An appropriate amount. So Zach Wilson would get the last drive. And I think the thing that was interesting about this game, probably the most interesting thing outside of the early struggles of the offense and then Malik Washington and Ollie Gordon balling out, this battle for the final receiver spot, it feels like it's the final receiver spot, it had a lot of drama in this game because you're probably looking at Dee Eskridge as the lead pony, but Tahj Washington definitely had something to say about that today. He was really, really good. He had a big catch on 4th down over the middle. And that was right after Dee Eskridge dropped a ball like right in his chest. And I was like, I don't know if there are job moving plays, but that's as close as you get. Like that was a really, really impressive turn of events. Dee Eskridge was having a tough time with the football times, but then he would make up for it later in the game. And that was the thing that was impressive. And Zach Wilson, I thought had a very nice performance. I thought today was by far his best game. Maybe he felt more at ease that the battle has kind of been decided. But I thought that he had time. He looked pretty damn good. He threw some balls over the middle, gave his receivers chances to make big plays. And a lot of them did, man. Tahj, I think, had the best game out of everybody. But even like Ezukanma, who feels like he's kind of dead in the water, he had a monster catch in this game that was like, oof. I mean, he went up to go get it. I think it was on 4th and 16 because they have no kicker. And he like went up to make this great catch over the middle for the first down. And it ended up setting up a touchdown for Mike Boone. It was a very impressive play. But even before that, this was after halftime. So Mike McDaniel, he mentioned that he wasn't pleased with the offense. Ollie Gordon, he was impressed with him, but he wouldn't, he didn't want to put too much praise on the young guy. The Dolphins start off with the ball, and he goes to Tahj Washington over the middle, Dee Eskridge kind of makes up for his stinky first half with a big catch for 21 yards. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, all these guys are so impressive. And I'm thinking to myself, like, are these guys so good? Is there a chance like Nick Westbrook-Akine? Because he didn't really, I don't feel like anybody's noticed him at all, but he got signed. So I assume that he's pretty locked in on a job. I know that he's like a big blocker. Guys are impressed with his physicality. He was a big red zone target for a terrible Titans team last year. But that receiver room's got talent. And I don't know if anybody is going to scoop up Tahj Washington, but if anybody's doing their job as a scout, it would feel pretty obvious that this guy seems to flash every single game. And, maybe would have made the team last year if he didn't get hurt. I mean, he was a draft pick last year. He's younger than Dee Eskridge. So I know Dee's got the ability to return the ball. That's a big thing for him, but it's kind of Malik Washington's deal, right? So I don't know. I'm very torn on this. I think that I don't know if I feel like Tahj had the better game. So like if it was close and you're going with a draft pick younger guy, maybe he eked him out. But I'd hate to kill Dee on it because he has had some pretty explosive plays. He's had some mistakes for sure. But man, I thought that was like that competition that we were all looking at going into this, being like, I don't know who's keeping this job. And they all really, they all showed out. I mean, Dee had like the oops-a-daisy, but in that second touchdown drive looked really, really great. Derek McClendon then flashed. He got a huge hit on the QB to force a punt. And then Quinn Ewers took over after the second touchdown drive, and pretty uneventful day by Quinn Ewers. Not that I was expecting much, but it wasn't. His biggest play came to really ice the game because on the last drive, you had some big plays by the Dolphins defense. Huge hit by B.J. Adams. He was flexing, and then you had the John Saunders pickup. I found a couple of things really hilarious. Everybody knows that Willie Gay is like the most fired up guy on the team. He looked like he was annoying the holy hell out of a lot of his teammates, and no, not teammates. I'm sorry, his coaches. Like they had to get the get back coach on him a couple times. It looked like Anthony Weaver was like looking at him to chill out. Now again, I don't know what's going on inside. Like I'm just like watching it. It looked like he is annoying. Like he was just too hype, and that's what you're trying to bring. So I don't know. He was bringing the energy though for sure. But all in all, look, it was Dolphins didn't lose a preseason game. The the first team offense not being able to do things for a couple drives against the Jags backup was not encouraging, but they did put it together. It did take a couple drives. They did put it together. Mind you don't have everybody. You don't have all of your ponies, but you certainly would like that all to be looking a little bit smoother. So now we go into this and we'll figure out who's keeping jobs. The one thing of note for the broadcast, I did mention this on the pregame show today, and I was wondering about it, and we got our answer. Stephen Ross did not appear today on the CBS broadcast. Now, there could be a bevy of reasons for that. He's old. He didn't feel like traveling down for a preseason game. Maybe he's just going to wait until the regular season starts. But it is typically a tradition that he hops in the booth there, usually in the preseason, to say a thing or two about a thing or two. And and it's a team broadcast. It's not like, the team broadcasters are going to grill him on like who's on the hot seat. But it was noticeable that he did not appear and did not have anything to say. So, as I say on the radio show, could be something, could be nothing. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if that's a big deal or not a big deal at all. But whether it's a big deal or not, it was noticeable to me. And I was like, yeah, he didn't show up today, huh? No Stephen Ross. He didn't have anything to say to anybody, apparently. But all in all, Ollie Gordon, awesome. Malik Washington, awesome. You're going to love, I feel like, the additions to that. And especially, you got to give it to Ollie because Ollie, this wasn't supposed to be here. It feels like it wasn't in the cards for him and then just opportunity. What does Mike McDaniel say? His whole thing is adversity is an opportunity. I mean, that dude took that to the nth degree. And you want to just talk about physical players. He just embodies a lot of that. And so it just feels very much like he could be the thunder to Devon Achan's lightning. And I'm very excited to see what that brings to the table. And Malik Washington just plays like a dog too. So if the Dolphins are looking for guys who just play rugged, those two guys embody a lot of that. And I think that's the exciting thing. That's the formula. People could talk about it, they could fake it, whatever. These guys seem really about being rugged football players. Understood that it's preseason. I'm just saying, eye test, we're all watching it. That's what it seems like. That's the stuff that I think Dolphins are probably hoping for and clamoring for. And they got that after a very uninspiring start. They were able to kind of juice up the game and make you feel better about a rocky beginning.